Now, a decision could come at any point now. The grand jury at the moment reviewing evidence if Officer Darren Wilson should face charges in the death of unarmed teenager Michael Brown. Steve Harrigan standing by right now in Ferguson with the very latest on how the city is preparing for the announcement of that verdict. Steve?
Well, we've been seeing a number of barricades being set up at key points around the city, which do lend one to believe that a decision or an announcement of that decision could be imminent. The police blocking off some streets and blocking off some buildings as well. Friday, there were 2 arrests, 2 men charged with weapons violations. They gave false information at a Cabela's store to buy a pistol. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch is reporting that both of them have ties to the new Black Panther Party and that they also may have been plotting to gain explosives to try and use in the protests that follow any grand jury announcement. That's been the real concern of law enforcement, concerns that radical groups could try and use the protests as a means to inflict violence. We're also seeing a number of events, concerts here in the region canceled. Schools also, many of them shutting down Monday and Tuesday in anticipation of possible violence. So far, the number of protesters out at night has been small, 40 or 50 the last 2 nights, many of them dispersed by police with pepper spray. Uma, back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for that update from Ferguson, Missouri.
No matter what the grand jury decides, I do not want my son's death to be in vain. I want it to lead to incredible change, positive change, change that makes the St. Louis region better for everyone.
That from the father of Michael Brown, the teenager who Officer Darren Wilson shot back in August. Small protests are continuing, as Steve just reported today, and we are still waiting, as you might expect, for the grand jury's decision. But joining us now, Missouri State Congressman Courtney Curtis's district covers part of that region, that Ferguson, and he's joining us now here in our studios. Welcome so much. Great to have you here. Talk to me for a moment about what you're hearing from people in your district, the mood of the community.
The mood is one of, it's no one knows what's going to happen. So it's tense at times, it's optimistic at times, it's just, all sorts of things. Nobody's ever dealt with a situation like this in Ferguson prior to August, so what we're experiencing is all of the emotions that come with uneasiness in the community.
Yeah, you heard a little bit of sound there from Michael Brown's father urging calm. Do you think, though, a lot of folks, no matter what the verdict is, have already made up their minds as to who they believe is guilty in this whole episode?
I do believe there's a great deal of individuals. For a large portion of the African American community, we've seen this happen time and time again with a non-indictment coming back. And then just recently, I think another young African American was shot to death in New York. So the question is, at what point do we get over this, and do we stop, having individuals that are shot at the hands of the police, and what can we do to change the system going forward?
You're ready to accept the verdict no matter what it is?
Yes, I'm already working, as in terms of going forward, in terms of how we can actually have change. A lot of the fights that the Congressional Black Caucus and others have fought over the years, we're having to fight again today. So it's time to, hunker down and actually do more work so that we can stop having situations like this. Obviously,
you were there during the tumultuous time and the days of violence that took place over the summer. What was that like for you, knowing so many of the people there, you grew up in the area, it's close to your heart, and as you witnessed that, that must have been so troubling and disturbing for you?
It was, but it was only about 10% of the time that the violence actually occurred. Outside of being there, for a large portion of time, it wasn't a lot of Ferguson people that were actually there. Sure, there were times where Ferguson did come out, but it was a larger community.
It was the outsiders who were coming in and instigating and creating more problems. Do you expect that to happen again? Right now?
Definitely. With it being on the weekend, I think there's a great opportunity for individuals to come. There are already over 80 actions planned across the country to protest whatever the indictment announcement is, and that just alludes to a larger issue in America that we do have to do something about changing things.
But the fact that these outsiders are coming in and, taking hold of the situation in their own way, do you feel that it is a positive move in that way? Doesn't it send mixed messages?
It does. It just depends whose voice is louder. If the positive protesters are louder and they continue to do the job of making sure that outside agitators don't get the attention that they're looking for, then it'll be a positive thing. If the negative agitators come in and get more screen time or so, then that could leave a negative impression on the American people.
What is your hope going forward? What are you doing to try to get the community to get past this and to try and find solutions to some of the concerns and problems that people are really worried about there?
We're definitely looking at, legislative items. We're looking to work across the aisle, and we've been in talks in terms of trying to figure out what we can do to change things in North County. We've talked with a number of protester groups, just trying to see what their ideas are and how we can be helpful in moving things forward on their agenda. So everything is about communication and bringing the community back together and supporting whatever positive efforts come from this.
You expect that will happen, though?
In terms of us. Yes, in terms of us moving forward together, yes, at some point. I just don't know when.
All right, we're awaiting that verdict. Any time now it could be happening, and I know you're going to be watching closely. And we thank you so much for coming by and sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you.
All the best.